every great transformation begins with a moment of recognition. It begins with that quiet but powerful realization that something must change. Most people drift through life without ever truly stopping to examine the thoughts that control them. They wake up, repeat their routines, and respond to circumstances as if they are powerless, as if the script of their life has already been written. But the truth is, the script is not fixed. It is being written every single day, and the pen is in their hands. The challenge is that too often, people are unaware of the silent forces that guide their choices, beliefs, habits, and inner voices buried so deep that they feel like unquestionable truths. This is why awareness is the essential first step toward any kind of transformation. Awareness is not about simply noticing the obvious. It is about looking beneath the surface, peeling back the layers of automatic thought, and asking questions that most people avoid. It is about pausing long enough to examine why you react the way you do, why you hesitate when opportunities appear, why certain fears grip you so tightly. Without awareness, you cannot change because you cannot fight an enemy you do not see. The mind will continue to run on autopilot, replaying the same beliefs, feeding the same doubts, and reinforcing the same limitations. Awareness interrupts that cycle. It shines a light on the blind spots that control your destiny without your permission. Think of it like walking into a dark room. At first, you stumble, you bump into walls, you struggle to find your way. You could spend years in that room, moving slowly, frustrated, believing that life is just a series of stumbles. But the moment you switch on the light, everything changes. You can see clearly, you can navigate with confidence, you can finally decide which direction to take. That light is awareness. Without it, even the strongest intentions remain trapped in confusion. With it, clarity becomes possible. Awareness demands honesty, and honesty is not always comfortable. It asks you to admit that some of your struggles are not caused by the world outside, but by the stories you repeat inside. It requires courage to face the thought patterns that have become so familiar they feel like a part of you. For example, when you say to yourself, "I'm not good enough," that is not a fact, it is a belief. It is a belief that may have been planted years ago through criticism, failure, or comparison. But because it has been repeated so many times, it now feels like truth. Awareness allows you to stop and ask, is this really true? Or is this simply a story I've accepted without questioning? That single moment of recognition can begin to dismantle years of self-doubt. Awareness also extends to the way you view challenges. Many people see obstacles as proof that they are not meant to succeed. They interpret difficulties as signs of failure. But when you step back and observe your reactions, you begin to notice that challenges are not enemies. They are teachers. With awareness, you can reframe struggle as an opportunity for growth, rather than a signal to give up. This shift is only possible when you become conscious of the meaning you attach to events. The same situation that defeats one person can empower another, all because of awareness. The beauty of awareness is that it gives you choice. Without it, you are a prisoner of old patterns. You react automatically without realizing why. You sabotage your own potential because you don't recognize the trap you are in. But when you are aware, you reclaim your freedom. You gain the ability to pause before reacting, to evaluate your thoughts before believing them, to ask yourself, does this belief serve me, or is it holding me back? In that pause lies the power to rewrite your story. Awareness is also about taking responsibility. It is easy to blame circumstances, people, or luck for the state of your life. But blame keeps you stuck because it places the power outside of you. Awareness brings the realization that while you cannot control everything that happens, you can always control how you interpret it and how you respond. This is not about ignoring pain or pretending problems don't exist. It is about recognizing that your perception shapes your reality. The moment you become aware of this, you stop being a victim of circumstance and start becoming the author of your future. It's important to understand that awareness is not a one-time event. It is a practice, a discipline, a daily commitment. Just as you train your body through exercise, you must train your mind through observation. This can be as simple as taking 5 minutes each day to reflect on your thoughts. Ask yourself, what emotions dominated me today? What triggered my reactions? What stories did I tell myself in moments of doubt? The more you practice asking these questions, the more fluent you become in the language of your own mind. And once you understand that language, you can choose to rewrite it. One powerful way to develop awareness is through journaling. When you put your thoughts on paper, you take them out of the shadows and into the light. Patterns begin to reveal themselves. You may notice that the same fear appears again and again in different situations, or that the same excuse stops you every time you want to take a risk. This recognition is invaluable because you cannot change what you cannot see. Another way is mindfulness, simply observing your thoughts without judgment. Instead of being swept away by the inner storm, you step back and watch it. You begin to realize that you are not your thoughts, you are the one witnessing them. That simple separation creates space, and in that space, change becomes possible. Awareness also helps you see your strengths, not just your weaknesses. Too often, people focus only on what is broken, what is missing, what they lack. But awareness is balanced. It allows you to acknowledge your flaws while also recognizing your gifts. It reminds you that you are not defined solely by your mistakes, but also by your resilience, your creativity, your capacity to grow. This balanced awareness builds confidence because it is rooted in truth, not illusion. Another crucial aspect of awareness is recognizing the environment you live in. Your mindset is shaped not only by your inner dialogue, but also by the voices around you. If you are surrounded by negativity, criticism, or limitation, it is easy to adopt those perspectives as your own. Awareness asks you to notice the influence of your environment and to choose wisely who and what you allow into your mental space. It helps you understand that if you want to rise, you must align yourself with people, ideas, and environments that lift you higher. Awareness also reveals the hidden costs of staying the same. Many people cling to familiar patterns, even destructive ones, because change feels risky. But when you become aware of how much those patterns are costing you, missed opportunities, wasted potential, broken confidence, you begin to realize that staying the same is far riskier than changing. That awareness ignites urgency, and urgency fuels transformation. When you begin to live with awareness, life itself becomes richer. You start noticing the moments you once overlooked, the small victories, the lessons hidden in setbacks, the beauty in ordinary days. You stop moving blindly from one moment to the next and instead live with intention. Awareness turns life from a blur into a masterpiece because you finally see the brushstrokes being painted each day. The journey of change is never easy, but awareness makes it possible. It is the key that unlocks the door to growth. Without it, you are trapped in cycles you don't understand. With it, you gain the clarity to step onto a new path. And while awareness alone does not complete the transformation, it is the first and most vital step. It is the light that allows you to see, the mirror that reflects who you truly are, and the invitation to become who you were always meant to be. The human mind is a storyteller, and every day it whispers a narrative that shapes the way you see yourself and the world. Some of these stories are empowering, lifting you higher, reminding you of your strength, and giving you courage to move forward. But many of them are limiting, planted by old experiences, harsh words, failures, or comparisons that cut too deep. These limiting beliefs become invisible chains, holding you in place even when the path ahead is open. They convince you that you are not capable, not worthy, not ready. They become a prison of the mind. The only way to break free from that prison is to replace those lies with truths so strong they dissolve the chains that once bound you. A limiting belief often begins innocently. Perhaps as a child you were told that your dreams were unrealistic. Perhaps in school you struggled with a subject and convinced yourself you weren't smart enough. Perhaps a single rejection planted the idea that you weren't good enough to succeed. Alone, these moments are just experiences, but when they are repeated in your mind, they grow roots. Over time, they become internal laws you live by without realizing it. You may not even say them out loud, but they echo silently in the background of your thoughts. I don't belong. I'm not attractive enough. I'm too old. I'm too young. Success is for others, not for me. These beliefs dictate your choices. They stop you from applying for opportunities, from speaking up, from taking risks, and because you avoid those chances, you collect evidence that seems to prove the belief is true. It becomes a cycle that keeps you small, But here is the secret: a belief is not a fact. It is a thought that has been repeated so many times it feels like truth. And if you can repeat a lie until it feels real, you can also repeat a truth until it becomes unshakable. This is the heart of transformation, replacing the beliefs that drain you with beliefs that empower you. The process begins with recognition. You must first catch yourself in the act of believing something that limits you. Maybe you hear yourself say, "I could never do that," or "I always fail." Instead of letting that thought slide past, stop and interrogate it. Ask, is this an unchangeable truth, or is this just a story I've been telling myself? More often than not, you'll realize it is only a story. And if it is a story, you have the power to change the ending. Replacing a belief is not about blind optimism. It is not about pretending everything is perfect or ignoring reality. It is about choosing a perspective that strengthens you instead of weakening you. For example, instead of saying, "I always fail," you can reframe it as, "I've failed before, but I've also learned, and every failure is preparing me for success." Instead of, "I don't belong," you replace it with, "I can create a place for myself wherever I go." Instead of, "I'm not good enough," you affirm, "I'm growing every day and I am worthy as I am." These shifts may seem small, but they create profound changes in how you approach life. Think of it like tending to a garden. If you leave weeds unchecked, they will choke the life out of your flowers. Limiting beliefs are those weeds. They spread quickly, they drain your energy, and they leave little room for growth. But when you remove them and plant seeds of truth, over time you will see confidence, courage, and resilience grow in their place. The garden of your mind will flourish because you chose to cultivate it with care. Replacing limiting beliefs also requires repetition. One powerful statement spoken once is not enough to undo years of self-doubt. The brain thrives on consistency. Just as your old beliefs grew strong through repetition, your new empowering truths must be reinforced daily. Speak them in the morning when you wake up. Whisper them when you face challenges. Write them where you can see them. The more often you expose your mind to these truths, the deeper they take root. Over time, they will replace the old programming, and you will find yourself acting from a place of strength without even realizing it. Another essential part of this process is visualization. When you pair empowering truths with vivid images in your mind, they become even more powerful. If your new belief is, "I am capable of achieving great things," close your eyes and picture yourself standing on a stage, completing a big project, or holding the result of your hard work. The mind does not always distinguish between reality and vivid imagination. When you see yourself succeeding in your mind, your body begins to respond as though it is possible. You gain energy, confidence, and motivation to take real steps toward that vision. Replacing beliefs also means surrounding yourself with people and environments that reinforce the truths you want to live by. If you are surrounded by negativity, doubt, and limitation, it becomes difficult to hold onto empowering beliefs. But when you connect with people who see your potential, who encourage your growth, and who challenge you to rise higher, those new beliefs are strengthened. Every conversation, every environment you place yourself in either nourishes your growth or starves it. Choosing wisely is a part of building the foundation for empowering truths to thrive. One of the greatest challenges in this process is patience. Limiting beliefs are often deeply ingrained, and replacing them is not instant. There will be days when the old voices return, louder than ever, trying to convince you that nothing has changed. But in those moments, you must remember that change is not about perfection. It is about persistence. Every time you replace an old thought with a new truth, even if it feels weak at first, you are strengthening a new pathway in your mind. Over time, those pathways become highways, and the old roads of limitation grow weaker and unused. It is also helpful to keep track of proof that your new beliefs are working. Each time you act with courage, each time you succeed in something you once feared, each time you surprise yourself with growth, write it down. These small victories are evidence that your empowering truths are real. On difficult days, you can look back and remind yourself that change is happening, even if it is gradual. Replacing limiting beliefs is not only about personal growth, it changes the way you interact with the world. When you believe you are worthy, you stop settling for less than you deserve. When you believe you are capable, you take on challenges that once seemed impossible. When you believe you belong, you enter rooms with confidence and claim your space. The ripple effect is profound. Your relationships improve because you no longer seek validation from others, you give it to yourself. Your opportunities expand because you dare to take risks. Your sense of fulfillment grows because you align your actions with your potential. At the heart of this transformation is the realization that the mind is both a prison and a key. The prison is built from limiting beliefs, and the key is the decision to replace them with empowering truths. No one else can do this work for you. Others may encourage you, inspire you, or support you, but ultimately, it is your responsibility to choose which thoughts you allow to guide your life. And once you realize that you have this choice, you discover a freedom that cannot be taken away. When you begin to live by empowering truths, challenges no longer intimidate you in the same way. Failure becomes a teacher, not a verdict. Rejection becomes redirection, not humiliation. Setbacks become opportunities for resilience. You begin to see life not as something happening to you, but as something happening for you, shaping you, preparing you, strengthening you. This mindset does not eliminate struggle, but it transforms the meaning of struggle, and that makes all the difference. Perhaps the most beautiful part of replacing limiting beliefs is that it not only changes your life, it inspires others. When people see you break free from the chains of self-doubt, when they watch you step boldly into possibilities, they begin to question their own beliefs. Your courage becomes contagious. Your transformation becomes a mirror that reflects back to them what is possible in their own lives. In this way, replacing limiting beliefs is not just a personal victory, it is a contribution to everyone around you. The process is demanding, but it is also rewarding. It requires vigilance, honesty, patience, and commitment. But each day you choose to replace a limiting thought with an empowering truth. You are building a new reality. You are proving to yourself that you are not defined by the past, not confined by fear, not limited by the voices of doubt. You are proving that you have the power to decide who you are and who you will become. Thoughts have power, but thoughts alone cannot build a life. Beliefs shape perception, but without action, they remain dreams locked inside the mind. Action is the bridge between who you are and who you want to be. It is the proof of belief, the evidence of commitment, and the spark that turns imagination into reality. The greatest ideas in the world mean nothing if they are not followed by movement. The boldest dreams are nothing more than fantasies if no steps are taken toward them. To transform your mindset into something alive, something tangible, you must act. Action is terrifying to many because it exposes the truth. When you act, you risk failure, rejection, judgment. You risk discovering that the path is harder than you imagined. But action is also liberating because with each step, you gather strength. Fear may shout in your ear, but courage whispers back every time you move forward. Fear loses its grip not by being ignored, but by being faced. Action is the medicine for fear, the only antidote to paralysis. When you act, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than hesitation. The first step is often the hardest. It is the leap from thought into motion. It is the moment when you decide to stop overthinking, stop waiting for perfect conditions, and simply begin. That first step does not need to be huge. It may be as simple as making the phone call, writing the first page, signing up for the course, asking the question. What matters is not the size of the step, but the courage to take it. Once you move, momentum builds. One action leads to another, and before you know it, you are walking the path that once seemed impossible. Action has a compounding effect. A single choice may feel small in the moment, but repeated consistently, it transforms into massive results. The person who commits to daily action, even tiny ones, will always surpass the one who waits for perfect timing. Imagine planting a single seed. At first, it seems insignificant, almost invisible, but day after day, as you water it, it grows. In time, it becomes a tree that provides shade, fruit, and shelter. The same is true for action. What feels small today has the power to create extraordinary results tomorrow. Action also teaches in ways that thought never can. You can read about swimming, study the techniques, watch others do it, but you will never learn until you step into the water. The same applies to life. You cannot think your way into confidence. You must act your way into it. Every mistake, every setback, every attempt becomes a teacher. You discover what works and what doesn't. You refine your skills. You grow in resilience. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is a step on the road to success. Without action, you deny yourself those lessons, and without lessons, growth stalls. Another truth about action is that it reveals your strength in moments you least expect it. Often, people underestimate what they are capable of until they are forced to act. They believe they cannot handle pressure, cannot lead, cannot overcome difficulty. But when circumstances demand action, they rise. The strength was always inside them, but it remained hidden because they never put themselves in a position to test it. Action uncovers hidden reserves of courage, creativity, and resilience. It reveals a stronger version of yourself that thought alone could never show you. Action also breaks the cycle of procrastination. Procrastination is not laziness, it is fear disguised as delay. People wait for the perfect plan, the right timing, the guarantee of success. But those things never come. Action is what creates clarity. You don't need to know the entire path before you begin. You only need to know the next step. Each action uncovers the next. Like walking through fog, the road appears only as you move forward. Waiting for the fog to lift completely means you will stand still forever. Action clears the fog. Consistency is what turns action into transformation. Anyone can take a single bold step, but true change comes from repeated effort. It is showing up even when motivation fades. It is doing the work when no one is watching, when there are no immediate results, when progress feels slow. Consistency builds discipline, and discipline is stronger than inspiration. Inspiration gets you started, discipline keeps you moving. Day after day, action compounds into mastery, and mastery leads to transformation. Action is also an act of defiance against doubt. The voice in your head will always whisper reasons why you shouldn't. It will remind you of past failures, warn you of risks, tell you to stay safe. But every time you act in spite of that voice, you weaken its hold. The voice of doubt will never disappear completely, but it grows quieter as you grow bolder. Each action says, I am not defined by fear. I am defined by what I choose to do. In this way, action becomes a declaration of identity. There is also a spiritual beauty in action. It aligns thought, word, and deed into harmony. When you think about something you want, speak about it, and finally act on it, you create alignment. That alignment generates energy, attracts opportunities, and builds trust within yourself. You stop living in contradiction, where your thoughts and actions do not match. Instead, you live in integrity, where your actions reflect your values and your goals. That integrity gives you confidence, because you know you are living truthfully, not just dreaming passively. Action demands responsibility. When you act, you claim ownership of your life. You are no longer waiting for others to give permission, no longer waiting for circumstances to improve, no longer blaming luck or fate. You take control, and with control comes empowerment. This does not mean you control every outcome. Many things will remain uncertain, but it means you control your effort, your persistence, your response. That responsibility is both a burden and a gift because it places your destiny back in your own hands. Action is contagious. When you move, others notice. Your courage inspires theirs. Your decision to act becomes a ripple that spreads beyond you. Think of the times you have been inspired by someone else's boldness. Their leap gave you permission to leap. Your action carries the same power. You may never know who is watching, who is silently gaining strength from your example, but your movement may ignite transformation in lives beyond your own. It is important to understand that action does not require perfection. Too many people wait until they feel ready, polished, flawless, but readiness is a myth. You become ready by beginning, not before. Perfection is the enemy of progress. Progress requires movement, and movement often looks messy. The greatest achievements in history were built on imperfect starts. What matters is not that you begin perfectly, but that you begin at all. Action is also an answer to regret. Regret does not come from failing. It comes from never trying. Years from now, you will not remember the times you stumbled as much as you will remember the chances you never took. Inaction breeds more pain than failure ever could. Failure can be corrected, learned from, turned into success. Inaction leaves nothing but questions. What if? What could have been? What did I miss? Action, even when it leads to failure, gives you stories, lessons, and growth. Inaction leaves you empty. There is also a rhythm to action. Once you begin, you discover a flow. Ideas generate more ideas. Opportunities create more opportunities. Strength produces more strength. Success is rarely a single event. It is a chain reaction triggered by consistent action. Each step forward builds momentum, and momentum is a force more powerful than motivation. Momentum carries you through doubt, fatigue, and obstacles, because once you are in motion, it is easier to stay in motion. That is why beginning is so critical. Once you move, the energy sustains itself. Action transforms potential into reality. Potential is valuable, but it is invisible until it is acted upon. A seed contains the potential of a tree, but without planting, it remains a seed forever. You contain infinite potential, skills, talents, ideas, but without action, they remain dormant. The world never sees them, and you never experience them. Action unlocks that potential and brings it into the light. Only through action do you discover how far you can truly go. Above all, action builds belief. Belief may inspire action, but action reinforces belief. Every time you act and see progress, even small progress, your confidence grows. You begin to trust yourself more deeply. You realize that you can count on yourself to follow through, and that trust is priceless. The cycle is beautiful. Belief fuels action, action strengthens belief, and the two together create unstoppable momentum. Life does not reward the dreamers who never move. It rewards those who dare to act. The world is changed not by thoughts alone, but by thoughts expressed through action. Every invention, every movement, every achievement began with someone who was willing to move, willing to risk, willing to step into the unknown. That same courage lives within you. The only question is whether you will use it.